Well, our next guest in the studio is the CEO of the Pro Partner Group. Now, we've been speaking a lot, and we speak to a lot of CEOs, Neil, about the changes in UAE's economy over the last couple of years, specifically the idea of emiratization, corporate tax, every single guest, even when Pankaj comes in.
Right.
You know, one of our accountant friends, everyone's just asking more and more questions about the changes to the tax laws.
Well, see, this is new. And whenever something new comes in, everyone needs to get every single bit of that new information, because finally, if you go wrong in even one accounting, bookkeeping or auditing techniques, then it could probably be putting you into trouble for a long, long time to come.
Well, our next guest, Mr. Nazar Musa, is the CEO of the Pro Partner Group. They're a leading company in setups, local partnerships and pro service providers right across the UAE, Oman and also Qatar. Nazar, thank you very much for joining us here on Talk 100.3.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you in. Your experience here, you're speaking about, to a lot of companies, about your expertise in legal structures in the UAE. We mentioned those topics, taxation, corporate laws, all these visa regulations. How confusing is it for businesses with the looming sort of tax coming in? Are they confused? Are they apprehensive? Are most people prepared for it? How would you see the situation is currently?
Yeah, no, they're not. Very simply, they're not. And it is confusing. It's confusing simply because there's a lot happening in a very, really short space of time. If you think about all the changes that have happened just as COVID hit us all, and then through COVID to ensure the competitive nature of the country that we're lucky to live in, and then coming out of COVID as the UAE begins to enter the world stage in the fiscal markets as much as it has. And so there's been so many different things, from visas to the upcoming corporate tax to amortization to a lot of things that are all aimed at driving our economy globally and protecting it locally as well.
No, it is true, because, considering the fact that, and especially I talk about taxations, because this country has never seen taxes, right? So any business unit, any businessmen who have probably worked in this or kept their business alive in this country have never bothered about taxations. And, in probably other countries where tax laws are already pertinent, one law change, two law changes, it doesn't really matter too much. But here, the entire book has been created.
Look, the country has to align with global policies and global protocols. And the introduction of corporate taxation, corporation tax, from June of this year will begin to align with the OECD international standards and requirements for certain things, like the base erosion and profit shifting initiatives, like the two-pillar taxation initiatives, all that protect each source market when it comes to corporate taxation. So what you used to find is a company making 3-4 billion dirhams, 850, $900 million of profit in a specific jurisdiction around the world could shift profits to areas of the world where there are zero or less taxation, and that creates inequality around the globe, and the OECD and the world markets don't like that. So by aligning, having a 9% corporate tax from June, which, by the way, is the lowest in the GCC and one of the lowest in the whole world. I think the average around the world is 23% or 23.5%. But by having that, it means that there's equality around the globe. And if you are a company that has a profit of $850 billion a year, you should be able to afford to pay a bit of tax somewhere, right?
Well, in your work at the Pro Partner Group, you're doing a lot of work about company formation in this part of the world. And it does seem to play against the balance of the norm. So you're saying if companies are charged tax, they're more likely to come here. But it seems as though in this age of corporate social responsibility, where companies are brought down, certainly on social media, and they're cancelled for sometimes the most innocuous reasons, it seems to be a bit more socially acceptable to suddenly come and base your business in a country where you are suddenly paying tax. Simply, because it would seem like, I'll rephrase that question and be more like, you may be worried about the backlash if you move your business to a country that's not paying any tax.
So it's got zero tax.
Yeah, zero tax.
Yeah, that may be one way of looking at it, but really the government thinks about it on a federal level and on a global level. So there's 137 double taxation treaties that the UAE has with other countries, and being part of the OECD and the world community and having a level of corporate taxation allows that to protect businesses that want to bring trade in and goods in and out and services in and out as well. Look, ultimately they've brought taxation in, but at 9%, which is 20% in Saudi Arabia, 10% in Qatar, 15% in Oman, still the lowest in the region, and by far lower than many countries around the world.
Yeah, I mean, a lower corporate tax definitely is very attractive because, hey, you like you mentioned a while back, that taxation is important to keep, the global sanity intact. But when you have a lower tax rate, obviously, yes, it attracts more corporates to come in and set up their businesses here. But when they do that, there are some benefits that they get, like the golden visas and the others, but also Emiratization comes in, where they need to then not just employ resources from their home countries if they want to, but also bring in the local Emiratis into their workforce.
And that has to happen. We can't live in an environment where the local workforce are somehow excluded from the working. So the local population is somehow excluded from the workforce. The Emiratization starts at 50 employees. So when you have 50 employees or more, then you have to have 1% of your workforce being Emirati from June of this year, and by the end of the year that goes to 2%, and the plan is that grows by 2% for the next 4 years, so that by 2026 10% of the private workforce is Emirati, and that is a very healthy position to be in. If you think of it in just fairness and take away all the emotion and everything else, I think that's a very fair and equitable statement to make, that 10% of the private sector workforce is Emiratized by 2026. If you don't, by the way, that's skilled labor as well. So it's professionals, doctors, engineers, managers, executives, CEOs, technicians, mechanics, sales and marketing specialists, etc., etc. It's not necessarily blue-collar workers that they're aiming for.
I wonder if it includes radio announcers, because I don't think we're very skilled sometimes. I've always got to ask myself that. You do so much work in helping companies set up and be formed here in the UAE. Is there a common thread or a common sector that you're finding are wanting to embrace this part of the world?
I kind of wish that, because that's such an easy question to answer. Oh, yes, it's this, or yes, it's that, but it's not. It's everybody, and it's from everywhere. What COVID did, the UAE opened its borders. We all locked down, right? We locked down hard for 6-7 weeks, but then we opened up better than anybody on the planet. And so what it meant was that a lot of people came over, and in order to facilitate that, the government started work from home visas and freelancer visas, made it easier to get golden visas more recently. It made it easier to open businesses here. It sort of took away the need solely to work within free zones, which is something that that was possibly a big benefit in previous years. And so everybody came. We formed businesses for British companies, Australian companies, Japanese, French, American, South American. Everybody saw the UAE as an opportunity to be central. Emirates Airline helps that. We can get anywhere in the world in one flight. The relaxation of ownership, so you can own your business 100% without necessarily having somebody local as your 51% partner. The collegiate atmosphere that is created by lots of like businesses. We're sitting here in Media City. There's a lot of media businesses. That campus atmosphere is very, very clear, and the whole city's become a bit of that. Whether from crypto or media or fintech or ice cream shops and boxing gyms, right? They're all...
And they're everywhere in the marina.
Exactly. And the sun shines. When you wake up and it's sun shining, it makes life much easier.
No, it definitely does. Now, as far as golden visas are concerned, that's been like one of those flagship activations that has enabled a lot of people to come in thinking that hey, once I get my 10-year visa, plus the benefits that come with golden visa, has it massively changed the mindset of investors coming in the country?
Yes, 100%. And people that already live in the country. We lived in an environment where every 3 years we had to re-establish ourselves as able to live in this environment. And now we can get a 10-year visa that is not linked to your job. That's the key thing. It's not linked to your role, and that gives you stability. And what does the stability mean? Right? It means that you put your kids in a better school. It means that you invest in a home to buy instead of a home to rent. It means you lean deeper into friendships and create better links in society. It means all of that. And so if we take away people coming in and just look at what it does for our existing population, it's incredibly powerful. Now, it also opens the gap. Initially, if you remember, it would be, if you're David Beckham and you came in, you could have a golden visa. Or if you're, some brain surgeon with 10 PhDs, you can have a golden visa. Nowadays, it's open to many, many, many more people, whether it be through the skilled professional golden visa, which you can get if your salary is around 30,000 dirhams a month, which opens it up massively to a lot of people. Or if you're from the world of investment, you can come in and invest and get a golden visa. And it used to be the investment was between 5 and 10 million. Even that's now down to 2 million. And so even that makes it more accessible to existing people and people that want to come in and call Dubai home without having to think about whether Dubai is home every 3 years.
I think you actually hit the nail on the head with a really good point there about mentally preparing and finding more meaningful relationships and getting deeper into the community. Because I first came here, I was like, I've got my 3-year visa. I'll do my 3 years and that's it. And 95% of people say the same thing. And that's why the property market, you're not looking to invest. You want to keep your property back home, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now you're suddenly thinking, if I've got this 10-year visa, I think it actually makes you a happier worker. Because if you're in your job and your job's tied to your visa, if there's a breakdown in the relationship and you don't want to work there, well, 9 times out of 10, you're going off back to your home country again.
Absolutely. How many people do you know that came in 2003 for a couple of years, and they're still here renting the same, maybe in the marina, like we just talked about, they just haven't moved and they paid rent after rent after rent. It's just a different person now. Also, Dubai used to be a hardship posting from parts of the Western world. And it is no longer a hardship posting. In fact, it's attracting talent from around the world. And if you can keep that talent here, it does nothing than better the environment we all live in.
Yeah, and that's a great point. It was a hardship posting. That's why there were such generous packages for you and your family, which is since going. But Dubai still is attractive when no longer you're getting we'll pay for the wife and kids and the school fees, and that's gone. But it's still remaining just as attractive, isn't it?
It is because we do have corporate taxation, but we don't have any income tax yet. We have a lot of indirect tax, as we all know, but we don't have income tax. And if you have a salary in the UK and 40% of that or 50%, including national insurance, is being taken away, yes, you're getting free schooling if you choose to have free schooling. But if you outweigh that with the safety of where we live and the opportunity in work and professional life and the unbelievable levels of schooling that we have here, I think it just outweighs not coming here.
No, this is incredible. I mean, the way you explain every single point, which is right in front of us, but we look at it from a technical aspect. When we actually look at it from a human aspect, I think, every single step that has been taken by the UAE governance is only for the betterment for the people who come here and live here.
Yeah, a Pro Partner Group, we help businesses set up here. And when you set up a business, whether it be a startup or you bring in your business from overseas, it's everything you have.
True.
If you're a CEO of a business or an owner of a business, you invest everything. If you haven't lost sleep because you don't know if you got payroll tomorrow, you're not really a business owner, right? And so what you definitely don't need is a company, helping you in that process that is in any way making you feel a bit rubbish, right? And so we don't do that.
Well, I think that's one of the great things about the services of someone like the Pro Partner Group. Like you said, it's hard enough to move the family, to worry about the business, and then have to navigate all those intricacies of local visas and things. To take one of those factors away from your concerns is always important. So the website is thepropartnergroup.com. You can answer all your questions on corporate tax, emiratisation, and of course the visa, what might help you and your business. Nazar Musa, the CEO of the Pro Partner Group, thank you very much for sharing your time and answering all the questions on Talk 100.3.